Chris Galza here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss The BlacKKKLansman, the Spike Lee film starring the young, it's late, I don't want to do this. Chris Galza here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss the latest Spike Lee joint, The BlacKKKLansman. Starring, what the fuck? Looking right at it.
Did you forget how to read? Are you the drunk one? I think I was the drunk one, but you're the drunk one.
I think what it is I don't, not having in my notes is printed up is screwing me up.
Okay.
And again, the iPad thing isn't working, so. Okay. Chris Galza here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss the latest Spike Lee joint, BlacKKKLansman. Starring John David Washington, Adam Driver, and Topher Grace, the crazily true story of how a young black gentleman was able to infiltrate the KKK. We're also going to discuss the latest Jason Statham shark movie. I'm assuming there's been more. The Meg. And then it's going to be the return of Call It, where we're going to present to you two impossible choices. And you're going to have to make that call. But first up, let's hear a clip from The BlacKKKLansman.
They were trapped, but that Peckerwood had a gun in my face. And he was an ass hair away from pulling the trigger.
And he didn't.
But he could have. And then I would have been dead. For what? Stopping some jerk-offs from playing dress-up?
Flip, it's intel.
Well, I'm not risking my life to prevent some rednecks from lighting a couple sticks on fire.
This is the job. What's your problem?
That's my problem. For you, it's a crusade. For me, it's a job. It's not personal, nor should it be.
Why haven't you bought into this?
Why should I?
Because you're Jewish, brother. The so-called chosen people. You've been passing for a WASP. White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, cherry pie hot dog white boy. That's what some light-skinned black folks do. They pass for white. Doesn't that hatred you've been hearing the Klan say, doesn't that piss you off?
Of course it does.
Then why are you acting like you ain't got skin in the game, brother?
Rookie, that's my business.
It's our business. I'm going to get you your membership card so you can go to the cross burning and get in deeper with these guys.
All right, Matt. So why don't you tell the folks at home and on the field, because this episode has been specially mastered to listen to while having softball practice or baseball, little league, it doesn't matter. Any type of baseball type game. So what is BlacKKKLansman all about?
So it's the true-ish, in big quotation marks, story of Ron Stallworth, who is the first black member of the Colorado Springs police force. After spending some time as a rookie, as a uniformed officer, he goes onto the undercover team, and he decides that he's going to infiltrate the KKK. And he manages to do this by pretending that he is obviously a white racist on the phone, and then he gets his coworker, played by Adam Driver, to infiltrate them in person, and it's the two of them trying to infiltrate the Colorado Springs chapter of the KKK, or the organization. Yes,
I appreciate the clarification.
Yes, it's the organization.
So what did you think about the BlacKKKLansman? So I confess, I think I've only seen a few Spike Lee films.
Yeah, me too.
Oeuvre, unfortunately, is mostly is unknown to me. I saw The Inside Man. I've seen a couple other things, but I know I'm woefully behind. And so it was interesting to walk into this thing. I was able to see this at a sneak preview a couple weeks ago, and I've been on pins and needles waiting to talk about this thing. Yeah. But let's start things off for you. What did you think about BlacKKKLansman? Share some thoughts.
I was actually surprised at how funny it was. This is actually probably, I would say, a comedy first and foremost. While it deals with some, very heavy and pertinent subject matter, it is actually really, really funny. And I was actually pleasantly surprised about that. And I wasn't really expecting it. And I'm with you. I'm not a huge, I haven't seen a lot of Spike Lee's movies. I've seen basically, obviously Do the Right Thing. I've seen bits and pieces. I don't think I've seen Malcolm X all the way through. But
I've seen that, yeah.
But really, for the most part, that's it. I was looking at his filmography, and there's a lot of it that I haven't seen. But I was really, really involved in this. I was enjoying this quite a bit throughout the entire thing. The way he just kind of, he makes this whole situation, very intriguing, but also very funny. I was really surprised. I think a little bit of it was maybe a little on the nose. I think he might have been, there were some kind of allusions to modern day politics that I think were a little, okay, Spike, we get it kind of thing. But at the same time, it was still, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Yeah,
I agree. I found this thing to be hilarious, terrifying, thrilling, and heartbreaking at times. It's a statement film by Lee. It has a very powerful, I think, and entertaining message. But you're entirely right. There isn't an ounce of subtlety in this thing. And I think maybe at this time in society, we can't really spend time on that kind of stuff. He really hammers this stuff home. He opens the film up with a clip from Gone with the Wind. And then a mock, professor played by Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, flubbing his lines.
Yep, rehearsing his lines, explaining basically why whites are racially superior.
Very Bill O'Reilly-esque as they were watching it,
Yes. So then it dives into, of course, Mr. Stallworth in Colorado Springs. So I'd have to say that John David, or we're tight, so let's call him JD Washington, really, I think, earns his family pedigree here. I don't know if you're aware of who his father is.
Yeah, I did not realize that his father was the one and only Denzel until I started reading up on this film a little later. I would not have put that to the face, but now that I see it, I can see it. I can see it now that I know that, But yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, I thought he was quite good in this. But I think really for me, what really hammered this home is Adam Driver and how I think he is one of the finest working actors today. Everything we've seen him in as of late, Patterson, his role as the Jesuit priest in Silence, this role, Flip Zimmerman here, and Kylo Ren. He has turned in some fantastic performances. And for me, he's becoming a go-to guy. He's a guy that I want to go to this theater and see him now. And I'm really just impressed with his work, and with JD, of course, JD Washington's work in this as well. If I have any qualms with the film, I think maybe it's a little too loose in its pacing at times, but it is a lightning bolt of a film, Matt.
Yeah.
And I really want to see this again. It runs about 220, right? But there isn't a wasted minute in this thing for the most part. I think, like I said, maybe you could tighten up a few things here and there, but for the most part, I think it's minor at best.
Yeah,
I thought it was a thrilling story, and then Topher Grace too. I can't imagine what it's like. Topher Grace plays David Duke in this film. And to just kind of play somebody so reviled and have to, it's got to be an interesting thing to do. And from what I understand, he had difficulty doing it. And I guess at the end of the film, he had I can't remember what it was now, but he had to do some type of retreat or some cleansing ritual or something to kind of get out of that mindset.
One of the most interesting things I said that I read about this was that Topher Grace pulled Spike Lee aside and said, "Look, I will say whatever you want me to say, but don't whisper it to me like you want, don't pull me aside and tell me this stuff. You say it loud in front of all of the crew that this is what you want me to say, and I'll say it." So he had to kind of make that clear because of the stuff that was going to be coming out of his mouth, which, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm with you in the sense that there are a couple things. I hesitate to say that they're padding or they're kind of Lee giving into some of his more, I don't know how to describe it. He's giving into some things that really don't serve the story in and of themselves, especially a lot of the stuff with Kwame Ture in the kind of beginning third of the film. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be there. They don't serve the story. I think they are very important. I wouldn't have cut them, but obviously, if you're talking about something lean, a lot of that stuff, there's a lot of things that don't need to be in this film that are.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I just, I know, I don't know if the film would pass the Bechdel test, right? Because I think that the women in the film basically exist as A, love interest for Stallworth, and then B, to be potential victims that have to be saved, right?
Right.
But still, outside of, and even then, I didn't, because the greater message that Lee is delivering with this film, I think, overrules any potential shortcomings for me.
Yeah, I agree.
And in the end, he closes the film with actual footage from the Charlottesville, Virginia rally in 2017, and the film and some statements, the Trump statements about both sides, all that whole thing. And I think the boldest statement he makes is the film closes with an upside down American flag, which slowly fades to black and white. And I got to tell you, man, it was quite a statement, and I was physically moved by watching that. I saw it with an audience, I think mostly comprised of black people. And when the lights came up, there was like one guy 2 seats down from me, and he looked up and he saw me and then a couple white people behind me, and he goes, "Damn, all right."
He did not.
He did. I'm not making that up.
All right, well.
And so, but yeah, I don't know. What else? What do you got?
Well, I mean, I saw this. Well, if we're talking about audiences, I saw this in a suburb of Hartford in Bloomfield, and it was me and 2 old black ladies who were probably like in their 60s, and that was basically the 3 of us watching this film together. Although the only thing I can say, I completely agree with you. This is a very powerful film. It's something I think everybody should definitely go out and see. Although I do have to quantify something as somebody who's a bit nitpicky in this stuff. The real life version of what Ron Stallworth didn't quite tie up as neatly as it did in the film. Lee takes some dramatic license, despite what this says that this is some for real S in the beginning. I would take the last 15-20 minutes of this, especially with the KKK plot. That didn't actually happen. That is complete fabrication. So life unfortunately does not kind of tie all that kind of stuff up into a bow. But I understand why he did it from a narrative perspective.
Oh yeah, I don't think you have much of a choice. No, I'm unfamiliar with the actual closing of that particular actual event, the storyline. So I'll have to do my own research on that. But overall, I think BlacKKKlansman, as I said, is a lightning bolt of the film, and it's a statement, and it's something that demands to be watched. It is, I think, right now, should be a lock for a Best Picture nomination. I really thought it was that good. And I don't know, what do you think? Does it have a chance?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it'll definitely be a lock for the nomination. I would give this movie an A, which I think might be the first A I've given all year long. But I mean, it is a fantastic film. I was really on board with it, and I think everybody should go check it out.
I agree. I gave it an A as well. So you've had a chance to see the BlacKKlansman, and you absolutely should. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, Matt. All right, let's move on. There's a couple really big releases coming up on Blu-ray and DVD, and I'm going to play a clip, not from the one you're expecting, but you're going to have to suffer through this like the rest of us.
Yeah. Oh, God. To be normal like this all the time.
Oh, God, this is better than normal. This is much better than normal. It's just driving me crazy, that's it. I mean, I don't really know you. Who you are, what you do. If you're safe, when you're coming by. You have all the power. I just sit around here and wait for you.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, other things happen, but in the what I wait for department, you're it.
Oh my.
In the what I wait for department, Matt, you're it. I love when Bruce Willis puts on the sensitive voice.
Is that who that was? I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah, that's his sensitive when he's the octaves goes up a little bit and the little whisper kicks in.
All right.
And that
You're really a student of Bruce Willis.
Oh, very much so. So that's Bruce Willis and Jane March, of course, from the schlock masterpiece that is Color of Night, being released by Kino Lorber on its own for Blu-ray. Always, I think, part of a set previously, but they've decided to release it on its own. Comes with a theatrical cut of the film, which runs at 2 hours, and the director's cut, with now featuring even more Bruce Willis penis at 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I can't believe you're leading off with Color of Night as the big release for the week. That is insane to me.
Well, I mean, it was a huge film. Now, the other film coming out that's probably got people excited is Deadpool 2.
Oh, okay.
So,
right.
The issue I had with Deadpool 2 was the pulling of a clip. All the stuff that's online is all trailerly and doesn't really work. The only clip I was ever able to pull is what I pulled from the original review of the show. I didn't want to repeat it.
Right. Okay.
And then I found this just beautiful clip of Color of Night that I had to share. So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is all coming up on August 21st. Deadpool 2 includes a Best Buy Steelbook if you get it from them. Walmart gives you Art Attack, which is a frame of the picture of the cover. I don't quite understand it, with a keychain. Target includes a digibook that's not suitable for children's book. And of course is the super duper expletive cut, includes audio commentary by Ryan Reynolds, David Leitch, and some others on the theatrical version only, gag reels, deleted and extended scenes, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So including something called Swole and Sexy, which just concerns me generally. First Reformed, there's talk of Ethan Hawke getting a nomination for Best Actor out of this film. He plays Reverend Ernest Toller. He's a solitary middle-aged pastor at a struggling church when a pregnant parishioner asks the Reverend to counsel her husband. Toller is plunged into his own tormented past and equally despairing future until he finds redemption. I've heard some good things. This is the latest by Paul Schrader, includes commentary by said director. And Matt, I'd like for us to check up with this at some point. So First Reformed is going to make it on the docket.
Okay.
The latest Johnny Knoxville film Action Point is being released on Blu-ray and DVD and 4K. Includes some deleted scenes, bloopers, and featurettes in the making of. The latest season of Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3 being released as well. Best Buy gives you a steelbook. Includes commentary by Rob Tappert on every episode. Walking Dead Season 8 is being released as well. I got to tell you, Matt, I haven't seen the last 5-6 episodes of that season. I'm woefully, but I just finished season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I thought was pretty good, and saw the departure of Phil Coulson, which I'm very upset by. And I guess it got a last-minute reprieve. Is actually coming back this year, so we'll see how that works. I don't know. Just Clark Gregg for me was the heart and soul of that show, you know?
Right.
And there's just quite a few times I was laughed out loud and was moved by his performance in that show. And I'm just curious how it's going to roll without him. The Terror is being released as well. I haven't seen this one yet, but I want to. This is the Ridley Scott produced TV series about the lost Royal Naval expedition to the Arctic, trying to look for the Northwest Passage.
Yep.
And then supposedly they run into supernatural things is what they disappeared from.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Terror at all?
I watched the first 2 episodes. It's a really cool period piece. I haven't finished watching all of it, but yeah, it's definitely looks like a slow burn kind of film. But it looks very interesting, or film, TV series. Yeah,
I do want to check that out. New to Blu-ray, Criterion is giving us the original version of Heaven Can Wait, starring Don Amici. Includes a new 4K digital restoration, as well as a conversation from 2005 between film critics Molly Haskell and Andrew Saris, creativity with Bill Moyers, and a bunch of other stuff as well. Criterion is also giving us The Smithereens. Susan Seidelman, established her distinctive voice of 1980s New York with his debut feature, The Lo-Fi Original, for her vibrant portraits of women reinventing themselves. Includes a new 2K, I'll get it out, digital restoration on that one, and ports over the original 2004 audio commentary as well from Seidelman. Wild at Heart is being released by Shout Select. Includes a new interview with novelist Barry Gifford. 76 minutes of extended and deleted scenes as well. Deep Rising. Remember when there was that just glut of sea-based horror films?
Yeah, and by glut we mean 2. It was
3. Leviathan, Deep Star 6, and then there was this one, Deep Rising. So 3.
Okay. There you go. All right.
It includes a brand new 4K master, I guess, of Deep Rising.
Okay.
This is the one that stars Treat Williams and Funky Jansen.
Okay.
You can pick up that one. I didn't know ILM did the special effects for that, but according to this, they sure did.
Wow.
The Vincent Price star film The Tingler is being released on Blu-ray as well. Features all new audio commentary by author historian Steve Haberman and some other new featurettes. And then Twilight Time has released 3 new films, all their limited runs, so only 3,000 copies each, Matt. Lenore Mistress, excuse, that's not correct. It's Gloria, the written directed by John Cassavetes. The Hot Rock, starring Robert Redford. And then finally, the Brandon Lee 90s actioner Rapid Fire is being released.
Oh, wow.
So if you've been looking to pick that one up on Blu-ray, now's finally your big chance. Scorpion Releasing is giving us Lenore Mistress of the Devil. Includes a brand new master of the 85-minute cut as well as a new remaster of the 99-minute international cut. And then for 4K, the Jack Ryan set is being released. So every single Jack Ryan movie is getting a 4K box set release. Your straight-to-DVD pick of the week is going to be Black Water. I saw the 2 guys starring in this one, Matt, and there was no other place to go. So action movie icon Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren deliver a double shot of adrenaline-fueled excitement in this heart-pounding undersea thriller. After a failed mission, deep cover operative Wheeler, played by Van Damme, is imprisoned in a CIA black site on a submarine. The CIA agents will go to any lengths, Matt, to get the information from Wheeler, but nothing can prepare them from the storm of violence that erupts when he joins forces with a fellow prisoner, played by Dolph, as deadly as he is mysterious. So which will we be streaming this week?
So this week, available on Netflix is the Spike Jonze Joaquin Phoenix movie Her. Stars Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson as a disembodied phone voice. It's basically about a man who falls in love with an AI through his phone, and is also the science fiction result of the singularity as it becomes self-aware. Good, really good film that really makes you think. I think you should check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I really liked it. I tried to get the missus to watch it, and she's like, a guy falls in love with his operating system? I'm not wasting my time with that.
You know what? Jen just needs to get on board with some of this stuff. We know what we're talking about. We're the professionals here.
That's right. That is certainly one way of putting it. All right, so let's move on, Matt. I'm going to share my thoughts on The Meg, and then you're going to finally talk about a little film that I've been begging you to watch. But first, here's a clip from The Meg, and I apologize in advance.
We have a serious
problem. What's up? I don't dime anymore. You gotta tell me a problem. And I'll say no. You can offer the money. I'll still say no. You're gonna appeal to my better nature. And I'm gonna say no. Because I don't have one. So I say, why don't we sit down, we'll enjoy a couple of beers, and then we can get you on your way.
Jonas, this happened this morning.
Lori, I have a contact.
Oh, it's huge.
It's crushing me. There's someone down here.
The may have encountered the same species you did down there.
It's a shark. It's a megalodon.
Excuse me?
I said
A megalodon. A living fossil.
Thought to have been extinct over 2 million years. Wrong.
All right, so I talked over my own clip. I forgot where I edited. That's how professional we are.
Yeah, I was about to say. I just said we were professionals, and here we are.
It happens.
It
So
does.
you've been drinking. I'm just drinking tea because I'm exhausted after a crazy weekend. But we're going to shuffle through, especially after that horrible, horrible Blu-ray DVD section where I basically tripped over almost all my words. But we're authentic. We're like the Tom Cruise of film podcasts where, you know, we break our ankle and we're still running flat out. We're still doing it. It's authenticity. That's what the kids want today, man. And that's what you're getting.
Okay, sweet.
All right. The Meg. So I'd said last week that basically I feel like this film is what Jason Statham's entire career has been building to. Now, if you want to hear some thoughts I said about this, and basically exactly what I'm going to say now, you may have already heard it, because I was lucky enough to guest on the podcast Pop Cult Net, hosted by James Baker, not the Ronald Reagan cabinet member. So, but you could check out Pop Cult Net. It was a fun show. He's available online pretty much everywhere. So check that out. You can hear me and James go at it over the Meg. And I'll share, though, for you, our devoted listener, the Meg. So I'm a big Statham fan. I'm going to be totally upfront about that, right? I love the first two Transporter films. That third one, I could not stand. But of course, I fell in love with Statham, as most people did, right, Matt, with the Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And somehow this guy was able to turn himself into a action star because he's got it, right? I don't know what it is, Matt, but he's got it. Everybody loves themselves some Statham. So now he's up against a gigantic prehistoric shark. Matt, the movie's patently ridiculous, and all the better for it. It's just an absolutely bizarre kind of genre film that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. I think part of the thing that I really disliked about the film is that it's not very, very well written. All right, the script is just not that good, and the jokes don't really work or land at all, especially with Statham, which is a travesty. Because if you're going to give Statham some jokes, right, you got to give him some good stuff so we can deliver it in that gravelly English brogue, right? That's what you want, and it's just some of this stuff doesn't work. And they also introduce a love interest for him for absolutely no reason, just to, I guess, increase the stakes for something that nobody cares. And I think one of the big mistakes that they make is if you're going to make a genre film like this, especially with a gigantic shark, you can't, pardon the pun, gut the blood and gore. You can't do it. But that's what they did. They abandoned it for a PG-13 rating, which box office-wise looks like it was the right decision because this thing cleared $300 million this weekend. So good for them. But still, and you know what, though? We got a chance, I think, maybe when it's released domestically, digitally, Blu-ray, DVD, 4K. I'll bet you we'll get that unedited cut that'll have all that stuff worked back in. I certainly hope so. Statham agrees with me. He actually thought it was a mistake to cut all the blood and violence, and I think my boy Jason's correct. But we'll see. We'll see when it comes out. I'll definitely have to revisit it, I guess, then to see if it becomes the potential cult classic it could, because it's just cheesy enough for it to happen, and it has the prerequisite one-on-one fight with Statham and the Meg, which it does. Oh, it does. I mean, it's not as glorious as Zombie is when the zombie takes a bite out of the shark, if you're familiar with the Fulci film. Mm-hmm. But it has the glorious, where he's hanging on, and then he doesn't, it's not like he gets in a fist fight with the shark or anything, but there is a mano a sharko scene near the end of the film that totally is worth it. So one thing, too, I was laser focused on watching this thing was Ruby Rose, because we talked about it last week and all the flack she's been getting as a poor actress with the casting of her as Batwoman. I thought she was fine in this. I think she was totally fine. And if there was any shortcomings in her performance, I would blame it, I think, on that lackluster script. Just not terribly good. The suspense wasn't consistent enough for me either. The humor was kind of weak at times. The effects were pretty good. And I think Turtletop, the director, does a good job, Matt, of bait and switching with the shark and kind of keeping you guessing. And then every time you think, all right, we're good, then something else happens. So I think that was done good enough. If I have to give the Meg a rating, I'm going with a C+ at this point, just on the strength of Statham v. Shark.
Very good. I was kind of hoping it would be you'd be a little more excited for it, but it's just what everybody expected it would be.
Yeah, I mean, that's
$1 million worth of people would expect to see.
Yeah, it's a problem with these movies. If you're going to go for it. Go all out and make the movie, right? It's the same complaint I had, and I brought this up again on Pop Cult Net. It's the same problem I had with like the Ghost Rider sequel. If you're going to make that movie, make that damn movie. And
right.
Don't chicken out on it. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the biggest issue with the Meg. So, all right. I don't have a clip ready for this because I didn't know this was actually going to happen, but it's happened. So I'm terrified to have this next discussion. But we're going to do it.
Why?
Because you're going to say, Chris, this movie wasn't that good. I don't know why you were so excited about it. It was. So anyway, Matt, what were your thoughts about deep breath, the Florida Project?
All right. So my friend Jen, she recommended this, and that's really what pushed it over the edge. Chris talking about it for the past 6 months is not what did it. But my friend Jen, she was like, "You got to see this," and I was like, "Fine, I'll watch it." But it was so let me just put it this way. This film doesn't really have a plot. And I don't know if that's really necessary in this point. I completely 100% agree with you with Willem Dafoe is fantastic in this film. I loved Bobby throughout this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just, as an ex-Floridian, it just struck me as way too real because this is really what a lot of Florida is like, especially the stuff on the edge. While I've been fortunate enough not to have to really be on that edge, I've known some people who are, and I've seen some people who I've seen what that's like out there. And it's just what I loved about it was, Mooney and these kids, they don't recognize that they're poor. They don't recognize that this isn't normal, all the kind of stuff that they do. And to them, it's all kind of a big adventure. And I appreciate that Baker, he decided that the way he presents this, he doesn't present this as, he doesn't give them any judgment, but he kind of doesn't glamorize it either. It's just kind of is what it is. It's almost documentary like. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would have given it an A, or I don't know if I would have said it was like, top 3 of last year, but I would definitely put it probably in the top 5, top 10 for sure.
I guess I'll take what I can get. I think that's fine. I think that's good enough. I adored the damn thing. So,
and maybe this is just a case of you and some other friends of mine really building this thing up. So I was expecting this transformative experience, and maybe my expectations were set too high. But it was really, really good. If you haven't seen it, don't be like me. Go out and check it out right now because it is a good, if tough, watch at times.
Fair enough. Okay.
What?
Oh no, that's good. That's good.
That's good enough for you?
Yeah, I'll take it. Fair enough.
Okay.
Good for me.
Okay. Fair enough.
You have to search the archives. I was trying to find the archives for the Florida Project episode when I talked about it, and it's not coming up, and that makes me nervous that something might be wrong with the website. So something else to worry about. Cool. Yay.
Yeah, that's what we need.
All right, fine. So what'd you give it as a grade?
I would give it an A-.
A-.
Yeah.
A-. All right. It's a little low, but that's fine.
It's a half a letter grade lower than what you would have put it, but okay, very good.
Fine, whatever. All right. Let's go ahead then, Matt. Let's move on up to the east side, and then let's do everybody's favorite Call It segment. Call It. Here's a clip.
You're Cameron Poe.
That's right.
I'm Larkin.
Hello, Larkin.
I got your message.
Where are the troops?
They'll be here?
They'll be here.
Uh-huh. In a minute. Listen, Poe. Can I lower this?
Go ahead.
You gonna lower yours?
Sorry, boss, but there's only 2 men I trust. One of them's me. The other's not you.
Cedino was running a drag on everyone.
Yeah.
Can't trust a South American drug lord. Who can you trust, huh? That was a joke.
I'm glad you told me. Now I gotta get back to the plane.
You're a free man, Poe. What are you doing?
I can't trade a friend's life for my own, Larkin, that's all.
You got a friend on board. See, I knew I was right about you. I read your file. You're not such a bad guy, just always in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Goodbye, Larkin.
Goodbye, Larkin. If you didn't know, Matt, that, of course, is the legendary Nicolas Cage in Con Air. I thought in honor of Mandy coming up, I think next weekend.
Is it? Okay.
We do a quick call out on my man, Nick. So, all right, Matt, call it.
Okay.
Face Off or Con Air?
Oh, God. I'm going to go Con Air because, well, wait, I'm getting rid of Con Air. I'm going to go with Face Off as the one I would keep. Just because Face Off is not only the most Nicolas Cage at his most ridiculous, it is John Travolta at his most ridiculous. So you obviously cannot get rid of that at all. Worst of Nicolas Cage. Well, that's a lot. That's saying a lot, but it is absolutely a ridiculous movie.
I think that's why I think for me, Face Off wins as well. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't lose that gorgeous madness You know, that is, you got John Woo, Travolta, and Cage, and the film is absolutely insane. And I don't want to live in a world that doesn't have a movie like Face Off. I don't want to be in that world.
And John Travolta is so bad in that film. Like, he is so bad doing Nicolas Cage. It's sublime how bad it is.
Exactly how I would put it. All right. We both agree. What do you got?
All right. So this is really complicated. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we really like A24, don't we?
There's the rumor about that. Yeah.
Yeah. A24 puts out some excellent films. So I'm gonna give you a choice, Chris. I don't even know if I'm qualified to answer this, but would you rather keep A24 and have the DCEU be in mediocrity forever?
Damn, how would you?
Or you have an excellent DCEU, but you get rid of A24, all of the films they've ever made and ever will make forever, but an excellent DCEU. This is your film cred on the line right now.
As soon as you said A24, I knew what was happening.
You did? Really?
I did.
Not predictable?
I know what he's going to do. You son of a bitch. You better. That is not.
Hey, this is supposed to be a tough choice.
That. I don't know what. I don't know. Because when you said it, what flashed in my head was like a Starman movie, the Jack Knight one, a Dr. Fate movie,
yeah,
a Spectre film, a Justice Society movie 8.
But you have no Moonlight anymore. You have no The Witch. Whatever. I mean, the long
Ex Machina is gone.
Yeah.
Florida Project is gone. Lady Bird, The Disaster Artist, Killing of a Sacred Deer, Hereditary, 8th Grade. You know what? I got 40 years left in this world. If I'm lucky. I'm going DC. I'm doing it.
Oh, wow.
I am. I want to see. Yeah. If I could basically run DC, right, and make the movies the way they're supposed to be, I would be happy for the rest of my life.
So
exposing
I guess
myself as the fraud that I am, truly am.
Because obviously the correct answer is to keep A24.
Oh yeah, of course.
It is the correct.
My brain says A24, but my heart screams Starman and Dr. Fate and the Spectre and Swamp Thing, and no, I'm a heart guy.
Yeah, no. Well, there you go. This is the final episode of the first run. Chris has proven himself to be a fraud. The correct answer is A, and really the only choice is A24. We can live with DCEU mediocrity because there's so many other fantastic comic book films out there that you have enough. You have enough. You don't need it.
Fine. Solo or Rogue One?
Honestly, this may surprise people. I think I'm going to keep Solo, to be quite honest with you. I really loved the Darth Vader scene at the end of Rogue One, but I actually had a lot more fun at Solo. That may mean I have to give up my Star Wars card, but that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know. This one is a tough one for me because I think Gareth Edwards, closest we're going to get to a Star Wars war film, is pretty good. But the other thing about Solo is you have the possibility of a sequel, which you don't have with Rogue One.
Right.
I've seen Rogue One 3 times now total. Once in the theaters, twice at home.
Yeah.
And I do, outside of Aldrich, I think did a passable job. I think I'm going to go with Solo as well. I don't know if it's just because of my man there as Lando,
maybe.
But it was fun and it was entertaining and it was, yeah. So I guess I'm going to go Solo too. I guess so. All right.
You heard it here first, guys. Beat it, Star Wars fans. We know what we're talking about.
That's right. What do you got?
So do you mind if I stick with the DC for a little bit here?
Oh, sure. Why the hell not?
All right, Chris. You can only have one. Vertigo films or Elseworld films?
Ooh. I feel like you may have done this one before, but
have I?
I don't know. It sounds familiar. Some capacity we've had this. But Vertigo or Elseworlds? I don't. My gut says Vertigo, but that's just because.
Vertigo?
But that's because I'm just a big Constantine fan, and to do a legit Sandman series would be awesome, and or even the other one, the Sandman Mystery Theater, might be really interesting.
Yeah.
But then you get all the other stuff too. You get the what's the Bullets one? I can't remember the name of it now.
100 Bullets.
100 Bullets.
Yeah.
That one. You get that. You get. I mean, there's a lot of Vertigo stuff that might be more like let's focus on just getting DC proper right before we go all nuts and start making Red Sun and Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Vertigo. Yep. That
as much as I love the Vertigo series, I am a huge Vertigo fan. I would have to say Elseworlds. I think that's what could save the DCU. I mean, I would love to see a Red Sun, a proper Dark Knight Returns, hell, a Kingdom Come. I mean, it would be fantastic. Elseworlds. I know it'll never happen, but that's what they should do. I don't see why they have to make DC should strike out on its own and not make an expanded universe or a connected universe. They should make their own self-contained stories. I think that's where they're going wrong because they don't know what they're doing, and it's obviously messed up. I am not confident for Aquaman. It is going to be a disaster. I'm calling it right now.
I think that was I mentioned this on that show Pop Cult Net that I was talking about the segments we do. I said. What are the odds, Matt, that Aquaman gets a 65% Rotten Tomato score or higher?
You know what, Chris? Just because we're friends, I'm going to say 51% chance that it gets a 65.
All right.
I'm going to hedge a little bit on that one.
Fair enough. All right. Sticking with DCU because I've
blown
blown any limited credibility I have.
Yeah.
There's two shows in development. Which one do you want? The Watchmen show on HBO or the Why the Last Man show on an I don't know what network?
I definitely want Why the Last Man. Why the Last Man is fantastic. Brian Vaughan, I think, is one of the best comic book creators in the last 10, 15 years. Why the Last Man is great. It is fantastic. But if you're not reading Saga, you need to turn this show off and go buy it right now until because the first 2/3 of it are out, and it is absolutely fantastic. It is so good. But I would definitely love to see a Why the Last Man over. I don't even remember what the other choice was. Watchmen any day. I've seen Watchmen. No, forget it. Don't want to see
an HBO version of it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Watchmen inhabits a weird little place, right? I mean, it's one of those things that was of its time, and I think you have to read it, but it's like reading Charles Dickens of the comic. You realize that it's something important, but it's not something that is of it. It's not right now, and I don't think it's necessarily timeless.
I liked Vaughn a lot. I was reading also his Ex Machina because I am a huge Tony Harris fan, and unfortunately, that was a point in my life financially where I couldn't continue watching the movies I wanted to see and collecting comics. I just couldn't afford both.
Right.
And I went with movies. So I only got about 2 years in on Ex Machina. I don't even know how that turned out. So I want to try and catch up with that now. But I'm not familiar with Saga at all. So I'll have to.
So good. You have to check it out. So good.
What do you say? The two parts are done. Are they like big volumes or what is it?
Well, so
collections or
yeah, they have the Ultimate Collections. I want to say there's like 4 big collections, but they're actually taking a break. Him and the artist Fiona Staples that he works with, they're taking a year-long break, so we're not getting any more Saga for a year. And then I think when they come back, it's going to be the end of the story. So
I'll have to look into that then. All right, what do you got?
Nothing. That's all I could come up with. I could only come up with 2. Sorry.
All right, that's quite all right. I got a couple more.
Okay.
So today or yesterday, Robert Downey Jr. on Instagram posted a quick little GIF where he said, "Practicing my Sherlock face." So they're moving forward with Sherlock 3.
Okay.
So call it Sherlock or Sherlock, Cumberbatch or RDJ.
Cumberbatch for sure, just because he's British and he's more believable to me than RDJ. Completely, for sure.
Yeah, I think I'd go Cumberbatch, not because of that particularly, but just that I like I think it's more interesting the updated version of the character than going back into the original, version of it and just updating it in that period instead. Like doing a modern action, movie with Sherlock Holmes instead of just actually putting him in present time. So I would go Cumberbatch as well. All right, so I have a couple more, but we'll wrap things up with the biggie. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I always give you one large film call you have to make, and here it is.
All right.
2001 or The Shining?
I think I'm going to keep 2001. I think 2001 is the better film. I think it technically holds up. Just everything that Kubrick does in that film is the better choice. I mean, as much as I enjoy The Shining, I guess I'm a bit of a horror movie snob, and it just doesn't scare me. Whereas the science fiction snob in me really appreciates 2001 on a lot of levels.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair. I think The Shining is much more rewatchable, I think, than 2001 is. And I was leaning towards that, but I think you're right. That the sheer artistry and what Kubrick's able to accomplish with 2001 it would have to be the ultimate choice in the end. I've seen 2001 3 times in my life. I've seen The Shining a dozen times. But I think still, and I know one thing is I'm really excited for this 4K release of 2001 coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Or a month. So I'm definitely picking that one up. All right. Interesting. What are your thoughts, people at home or on the softball field? Which film would you keep? Here's a couple that I didn't use that maybe we'll use in the future so you can start thinking on them. Another TV show, Treadstone or The Continental? Jason Bourne TV show, John Wick TV show. Think about that for the future. What's a better Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer or Anne Hathaway? Or game movies, Uncharted or Metal Gear Solid? Which one would you rather see? Just an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Check out, of course, our friend singular, James Baker over at Pop Cult Net. We're hoping to have James on the show soon, maybe next week or so. Unfortunately, Matt had some commitments tonight, so he couldn't quite come tonight.
That's okay. I forgive James.
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. Just do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually, you will find us. Please go on the Apple Podcast and give us a review. Whatever it is, I'll read it, though cash rewards for 4 stars and higher. Not a lot, but I'll Venmo you $1, maybe 50 cents.
Thank you.
Something.
It's very generous of you.
I'm a nice guy. So that's going to be the big show for this week, Matt. Next week, what the heck are we going to do next week? We're going to have to figure that out. Some crazy rich
Unsane.
Asians.
We talked about Unsane.
Unsane. Well, that'll be the second film because Unsane is now on Amazon. But our theater commitment is live, Matt. So we got to figure that out. So that will be it. So that's going to be the big show for this week. And I just want to say we'll close the stinger this week and just say rest in power, Aretha. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all soon.
We got 2 hunkies out there dressed like Hasidic diamond merchants.
Say what?
They look like they're from the CIA or something.
What they want to eat?
The tall one wants white bread, toast, dry, with nothing on it.
Elwood.
And the other one wants 4 whole fried chickens and a Coke.
And Jake, shit, the Blues Brothers.